that's a hell of a music video that's going on there in the breaks. It's a bit of a weird one, but you know, I'm a bit of a normie, aren't I? So, Unmunchables, I'm joined by Jemada once again as we head into our third game of the day. And if you're only just joining us, you've missed a couple of doozies already, but UCAM have secured themselves the first seed of Group C, and now the rest of today is to decide who makes it out with them, Jemada.
Yeah, and you know, we came into the day specifically talking about MOUZ, sort of being this team that looked like they realistically can be on the fringe of, honestly, before UCAM just took these two games in such a decisive manner, anywhere from first to second. But for me now, I look at Illumina and I kind of feel like they're, after that game, they might be a bit shaky. So I think for MOUZ, every game today was a must-win. Losing out to UCAM sucks, but it's not the end of the world. This, against Macko, this is the must-win of must-wins. You don't want to drop a game against a 0-3 team. You drop that game, you're probably just, you're in the bin. You're not going to make it through to the knockouts in a lot of worlds.
The really crazy thing is, if MOUZ loses to Macko here, there's a real possibility still that Macko makes it out of this group. Like, I don't want to talk too crazy before it happens, but I'm just throwing it out there. There are real scenarios where Macko makes it out, and that's if MOUZ and Illumina both kind of throw games away. Sort of what we've been seeing.
You hide in a tinfoil hat somewhere, Munch, or what's going on?
Look, I got many tinfoil hats, but I'm not bringing them out on stream, okay? Because there's a conspiracy that if you show your tinfoil hats, then they're not as effective, so... All right, let's talk draft. Let's talk draft here. Macko on our blue side, MOUZ on our red side. Jemada, what do you want to see from MOUZ here? Because this, as you said, is incredibly important.
Yes, I think last time around, Annie gave these guys a bit of a backside ache. So there you go. We're gonna see Annie removed away this time from Sebekx. They don't want to have Annie sort of be this champion that can shut down these assassins. Man. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a Sebekx special, so. I think paying the tax in one ban is totally fine, and from here, honestly, ban of choice is really whatever they want to do. Hecarim is now up and available with that Nocturne ban though, and so is Seraphine, and that's actually going to be the choice here for Macko. And for MOUZ, Hecarim for Pridestalkr if he wants it. Of course, you've got the Udyr if he wants to lean into that more sort of farm heavy into objective style. Really, choice is his. I don't necessarily feel like Leader will lean on something like an Orianna to pick up here with that Hecarim. It would be a little bit out of left field for, you know, the characteristics of this player, but could definitely be something. But let's see, as Thresh is going to be the first lock-in. Hecarim being hovered, I do expect that one to be locked in.
I love this. I love this rotation. The Shadow Owl's rotation is always insane if you get it on the red side. One of the strongest, probably the strongest jungler on the patch, alongside one of, if not the strongest support on the patch as well. But it also sets you up to play whatever hyper carry you want in that bottom side. You want Zai, you want yourself a Jinx, you want literally anything. Thresh can be the one to set you up, even like an Aphelios if
I was about to say,
going down that route.
Yeah, I was about to say, depending on what the lock-ins here are for Macko, you could see the likes of an Aphelios come out just simply on the basis of Thresh is there, and Aphelios is a very versatile champion because of his ultimate. So we'll have to see whether that's something that Gadget wants to lean on. And with Macko locking in the Renekton, it means that they can only lock in one bottom laner if that's what they want to do, but they're also pressured to lock in their jungler here, which is the key thing. So, you know, they're kind of pinched for the bottom laners most likely.
It's possible the Seraphine goes to the bottom lane as well. So we have to remember that is a flex, so it's possible that's the case. But the Jinx that we talked about will be locked in for MOUZ. So let's talk bans here. If you're in MOUZ's shoes, what are you pinching? Apparently it's AD carries, Jemada.
Yeah, straight away AD carries. Even though, yes, Seraphine can be flexed, I think when you've got the Udyr and the Renekton, you're more likely to see it in the mid lane. That being said, of course, we will still hold it as a flex for now. I think banning out the Varus makes a whole bunch of sense. Varus one-to-one with Jinx, whilst it might not necessarily scale into the late game as strongly as the Jinx does, having that ultimate to pick off the Jinx on from quite a long range, to be honest with you, and being able to sort of match the lane prowess, the range in lane through the Q and the Hail of Arrows is very, very oppressive. So I think that's a smart ban. You could look for another lane AD carry if you want to. You could also go down another scaling route or another source of engage, because I feel like at the moment Macko, they need another hard engager. You could see something like Norless be banned away. And from there, I guess you just ban away another mid laner out of leader's pool. Whether it's something more traditional or something more assassin based. You could see something like Yone. I feel like that was probably, like dive wise, Yone probably makes a bunch of sense between the Hecarim there as well, but we'll have to see what they land on.
Yeah, when you think of leader this split, you think of things like the Aurelia and like that Yone coming on through as well. But it's going to be the Rise banned away this time around, and MOUZ now have to go for one of their picks. But guess what? Renekton's already on the other side, so it's pretty safe to just go for your top laner here blind and save that counter pick for leader.
Yeah, you could see something like Gnar come in to sort of nullify the range. We just saw Urgot picked into the Renekton to pretty good success, but with the Gragas hover, of course, what Satorius played earlier on in the day against UCAM. And he played it pretty damn well too. We are going to get the run back as it's locked in. And now over to the PG Nats. How are they going to respond? They've got their most likely bottom lane to lock in here. Need that strong AD carry. They need something to bring them into the late game with a lot of damage to try and at least match the Jinx, I think is the key thing.
Yeah, still a few options available. Kai'Sa is a pick that's available as well. They're hopping to Ashe right now. It will be logged in. So Ashe Braum could be a combo that we've seen kind of sneaking into the meta a little bit. Even things like the Rel are still open as well, so there are a good amount of options. Even Alistar. We haven't seen any Alistar today, which is a bit surprising considering how strong of a pick it has been.
Yeah, it is a bit surprising. I don't know if we would necessarily see the Alistar here, but I think it could fit well. Oh, we're going to see Seraphine bot. Even into the Thresh, I think is a tad risky, but I can respect chucking the Seraphine bot. And with that in mind, I assume that's going to be Renekton mid, yeah. Not up into the top side. So, trying to hold leader down in what assassins you can necessarily play, because Renekton can poop on a lot of these melee champions that leader does like to dip into. And with that in mind, we're just going to see the Viktor lock in to try and keep range, just make sure that he can farm up safely. Renekton, he's going to struggle to find positive trades because that gravity field can come down. It can just kind of stop Sebekx in his tracks. Yeah,
this feels like a really intelligent draft coming out from Macko, though. It feels like they've read what leader wanted to go for. You kind of deny things like the Yone with that Renekton. It does very well into these squishy melee picks. Renekton's going to win every one of those matchups. So very nicely done to pigeonhole leader onto this control mage instead. I am really curious about that bot lane though, Javada, because we've got very fairly standard stuff on the top side of the map, depending how much LPL you watch. But then the bot lane Ashe Seraphine, that doesn't even seem like a combo that jumps out at me as a 2v2.
Yeah, I don't know if I've even seen this lane in competitive as a pair. I've definitely seen Seraphine end up in the bottom lane a few times, but I think into Thresh, it's so scary. Now that being said, Ashe, I feel like once you get a couple of points in volley, you can definitely sort of match some of the lane pressure and priority that can be gained against the Jinx, and that can be a nice positive to have. But I feel like the bottom lane for Macko, they're one death sentence away from the namesake of the ability, a death sentence, and they get sent back to Fountain. So I think it's pretty risky, but they've got the winning jungle matchup inside of the Udyr. So they're going to have a slightly stronger skirmishing on that side. So they can maybe lean on that, but I think probably towards the top side is where I think Macko want to probably play towards.
We'll have to see as the game goes on. I'm excited to see Sebekx on this Renekton, though, going up against Leader. And remember, Leader, earlier on today, had a pretty rough laning phase on that Lucian. He's going to be looking for a little bit of redemption after what was going on. And he kind of redeemed himself a little bit. Got the swag solo kill in the bottom side, but ultimately not the greatest performance coming out from him. And that's a really important thing to bring up when it comes to MOUZ, because again, this is a team that right now are on the ropes. They can't afford to make a loss here. They cannot afford to get to that kind of dire situation where Macko actually get back into the running for making it out of this group. But MOUZ is a team that they live and die by the skill check, right? They live and die by the 1v1, the mechanical plays, and it didn't feel like those mechanics were coming out this morning.
No, it really didn't. So MOUZ, hopefully that game was a bit of a wake-up call for them. But for Macko, honestly, despite them being 3-0, I think they've given themselves an okay enough shot here with this draft. I think you've got a pick which should be able to secure priority sort of post level 3. Ranged into melee, you'd expect Leader to be able to control the wave however he wants, so you can probably get some priority in the first couple of levels. But after that, Sebekx can sort of sacrifice a little bit of HP for priority, and they can try and bully Pridestalkr when he's on his camps. I do look towards the scaling side of things though, and I do have to heavily favor MOUZ. I think when you've got Viktor, you've got Jinx, you've got the Thresh there to supplement them both. You've got Cleanse on both the carries, so even if they get caught out by an arrow or that encore, you can just cleanse out of it, and there's not really too much threat. So Macko, they're gonna have to play around those summoner spells.
Well, we'll see if Macko have what it takes later on in the game. But again, we talk about this Renekton, we talk about playing around the early and the mid game, but Gnar kind of falls into that category. Ashe can find advantages once she gets to 2 or 3 items, but definitely feels like the thing about this comp from Macko is that yes, in individual lane matchups, some of it felt pretty 5-head, right? You're using the flexes, you're changing it all up, you're sending the Renekton to the mid lane to get a good matchup. And on paper, that sounds great. But when you actually look at this whole composition as a group, it doesn't add up to me in the same way that maybe you'd want. Especially this bottom lane doesn't feel like it fits into the grand scheme of the picture.
Yeah, I get what you mean from the side of Macko. I honestly maybe would have even liked to see Seraphine actually end up in Durking's hands, and you just lock in a engage support, or I don't know what else really you could look for, and just sort of rely on the brute force CC. That's a real nice death sentence.
Oh, he flanked the wrong direction though. He saved him. Oh, it's a disaster. Enjawve, that was the play. That was the kill.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying that was the play, that was the kill, but yeah, okay. It would have been nice to have the flame in towards them, allow Gadget to get a couple more auto attacks off.
Well,
but
the flame chompers were there. The flame chompers, Jamad.
Alright.
Think of the flame chompers.
I'm thinking of the flame chompers. I don't know how much work it would have done for the trade. Pridestalkr, he's finished up his full clear. He's on the bottom side, but unfortunately, Macko, they've got full priority on the bottom side, so he's going to have to recall, and it looks like Cboi with a little bit of help from Darkrai.
This is a double scuttle right here. Yeah. Cboi's just going to run straight through the mid lane, go towards that topside scuttle crab, and pretty handily take this one away. So, bit of a slower start from Pridestalkr here, using the priority that they had in the bottom side to accelerate their jungler. So, Cboi having a good game. And, you know, Cboi's been on the receiving end of an aggressive Udyr from Papadabachi. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but I sure as hell do. And it was really something to behold. So, it feels good to see Cboi having a good early game here.
Yeah, it does. Cboi has not had the best showings. I think he's going to go and try and give Pridestalkr a bit of an ache on the Krugs here. And it's got Prior from the top side. Pridestalkr. Oh.
Yeah, going to be slowed down here. I don't think he's actually going to go in on this one as Cboi hits level 5. Now a level ahead in the jungle, 10 CS up. And he's just going to continue to match Pridestalkr, who is being removed from the game. But Sebekx is in the brush. Pridestalkr jumps straight into him on the blast code and gets taken down for first blood. Gravity field is nice, but they're not quite under the towers. And it means leader can do nothing.
Yeah, and this is great from Sebekx. He just walks onto fog, realizes that there's probably no vision over here from MOUZ, and just waits for Pridestalkr. Pridestalkr being stalked in his own jungle, really, by the mid jungle of Macko. And I kind of said earlier, I feel like the scaling side of things leans more heavily towards MOUZ. I feel like they are the ones that will have the advantage. So this is the kind of thing that Macko need to do in the early game. They need to pick on Pridestalkr. They need to make sure that he falls behind, because he is going to be one of the key engagers here for MOUZ. He's the only one that can kind of just go in on a whim. Of course, you've got the cask, you've got things like the Death Sentence, but these are non-committal engage tools. So we'll have to see how much more work they can get done in keeping Pridestalkr down.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate something as well, that it's not impossible for Macko to make it out of this group.
No.
I think I just completely messed that sentence up, but
it's okay.
This team can still make it out of the group, importantly. And also, just because the community has sort of counted them out, and I was definitely coming into counting this team out. I'm going to put my hands up to that. Like, I did not believe that Macko was going to be able to make it out, but it is possible. And you know that the players are stepping onto the stage today. They've not counted themselves out. Like, what kind of competitive player is going to count themselves out of a tournament when there's still a chance? Cboi, though, is going to step forwards here, but he's stepping into 2 and maybe winning out the trade anyways. Pridestalkr flees into the jungle with his tail between his legs. The root comes in here. Pridestalkr's stuck and will get stunned again by the Bear Stance Flame Chompers, and then flash over the wall. Pridestalkr goes down, and Cboi has taken over this jungle. Enjawve now trying to get to a tower, trying to get himself out safe, but he's rooted. Pulls in Cboi, knocks him under the tower. Another shot goes through. Auto is there, and Enjawve gets the shutdown.
Yeah, nice shutdown, nice little bit of fancy feet, and the Death Sentence into that flay with the Ignite is enough to keep him alive. Cboi just overreaching a little bit, feeling himself. I would be too if you were dominating the jungle in this kind of fashion. You've got the lane priority to make this kind of nonsense happen, really. And Macko, wow, yeah.
Chaos Storm used by leader here, really trying to push the advantage there. So shoves Sebekx out of lane, and Good to see after the aggressive trades. Let's take another look at the chaos that Cboi led the charge on.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the first move here from your bottom lane. There's nothing you really have to do. He tried to actually blast cone Pridestalkr further away from a tower. Unfortunately, Pridestalkr wasn't quite on the blast cone. And with that flash forward as well from the AD carry from Ashe just means it is a number 3 pickup. Another nice double up. But it's this hook right underneath the tower, the flay as well to confirm it. And Master Turtle stance does come in and blocks out enough damage and even gets the auto to heal up. 29 HP. It's not quite enough. Turtle man.
No.
No, Udyr.
Falls into the soul as well. There was something morbid about that one. The homeless turtle man goes down in the end, but it's still a pretty good score for Cboi. Let's not be too hard. Just because we saw him die in slow motion doesn't mean he's not having a good game. 2-1-0, 54 CS, 10 up still in the jungle, and he can return to the ridiculous speed full clear that Udyr has to work with. StenBosse looking for an all-in on the top side here, but the explosive cask from Satorius will deny that.
Wow.
Follow-up engage, or maybe it won't, as StenBosse toying with the idea, won't be able to go for it.
Yeah, and honestly, with that in mind, Satorius, no ult, still half HP, will heal up a little bit. If you look at the minimap, Cboi has a pretty linear path all the way up to that Rift Herald, and Pridestalkr, I believe, just pathed all the way down, so he's either going to reset or look for a bottom side play. Cboi could turn this into a Herald off the back of some pretty nice, efficient clearing for himself, and that'll be a real nice pickup to try and snowball some more gold into the back pockets of honestly anybody in the game. Is pretty nice to get that gold on right now.
And it's important to remember as well that, like, we talked about how this composition for Macko feels like the early and the mid game are going to be where they're really firing at their strongest before MOUZ come into their strength. So that Herald in the early game often a lot more valuable than your dragons. Obviously they were able to get the first dragon themselves anyway, but getting the Herald, slamming it onto a laner, maybe even the mid lane if they can find an opportunity to do so, get Sebekx ahead on the Renekton, definitely sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, and seems like Cboi seeing pings onto Satorius. He's actually does have flash, but Pridestalkr's in the area with Ulm and Ghost, so I don't know. This is a risky one.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, chaps. Yeah, they're gonna back away. I'm glad they saw the light on that one, because that I could just see it all going wrong. I could see the beginning of the end for Macko on the back of that play. So correct decision there to go back to the Herald.
Yeah, I think honestly Herald from the start is probably the correct call anyway. Should have an inkling that Pridestalkr is on the bottom side, and having a reset should be close to the top side.
Oh, that was a
Jumps
nice
on
little hop
StenBosse,
from StenBosse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about to turn into Mega Gnar, so Pridestalkr's like, you know what? Nah, he's 2 levels up on me. I don't fancy this one at all, I have to say. I agree with that decision as well. So people making the right disengaged decisions here in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and Cboi, he's going to try and find Pridestalkr maybe.
There's a 2-level difference.
Yeah.
There's a
No,
2-level
mid lane onto
difference
leader.
in the jungle. Leader's in trouble. Flash available, cleanse available. Gravity well underneath himself. It does a decent job to trade that back.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about Viktor, especially when you're playing into such a short-range comp, for the most part anyway, on the top side. It just means Gravity Field can have so much value, and especially when you've got people trying to walk into you like that. Just drop it in front of them. Drop it into their path. They have to commit a flash to make sure they can secure CC, or they're probably just going to end up stunning themselves. So, not really much else the leader should be doing in that situation. Plays it how required.
Yeah.
But it's Cboi with the Herald, so I want to see who he actually opts to put the gold into, because we kind of spoke about, all right, it's definitely MOUZ with the scaling advantage, so Macko, they have to kind of pick the correct target. Oh, Ashe arrow.
They just walk in and take the crab, and they'll take a kill on the back of it. The
God.
CC chain is unbelievable. And now a hook goes through. It's onto Darkrai, but I don't think there's any real follow-up. Nice heal, nice dodge from Cboi. Honestly, Macko are making this look easy.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, Pridestalkr's being picked on in this game. There's not really much more he can do in that scenario. You get bear slapped, and then all of a sudden Ashe arrow lands in your face during the duration. And then you get beat drop too. It's pretty unfun. A lot of CC. Death sentence was pretty close, honestly, to landing. But yes, I want to see who they actually want to put the gold into. Whether it's this Renekton to try and make him unkillable until the likes of Leader and Gadget have their core items, or whether it's StenBosse, whether it's the bottom side to try and give Durking a little more damage, a little bit more oomph in these early game team fights. Satorius looking for a solo kill on StenBosse.
But the Mega Gnar is about to arrive, and Satorius has gone too deep for this one. Forced to flash here. StenBosse close to getting that Mega, getting that extra health for himself. Able to finish the control ward and return back around to this lane. Shove this underneath the tower. And it feels like a small opportunity, a small window there for Satorius, but couldn't quite find it in the end. And I want to do a bit of a throwback to what we said earlier on today. MOUZ was struggling in the early game, and then it was Satorius on this Gragas that flipped everything on its head halfway through the game. That's what I'm looking towards again here, because Satorius has that Gragas. He looked amazing earlier today. And yes, he's had a rough lane matchup, but that is the nature of this lane. I'm excited to see what he can do with the ultis once we get to the mid game.
Yeah, and he's got two pretty strong targets inside of an Ashe and a Seraphine too to try and find those on. As StenBosse could find a solo kill. He's about to Gnar out.
Yeah, he's going into Mega Gnar, knocked back, but Pridestalkr can't quite close the gap. Here we go. Mega Gnar time, slams him into the wall. Satorius gets a heal. The StenBosse opts out of the 2v1, just goes towards his tower, keeps himself safe here. Pridestalkr's there. In the meantime, guess what? Drake's just spawned, so Macko are like, you know what? Another neutral objective? Yeah, we'll tick that box on the quota.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be either an Infernal... Oh, no, sorry, not an Infernal. A Mountain or a Ocean, both of which pretty strong for this Macko side. Of course, Mountain because so many tanks. Ooh, that's a nice cleanse blow. And Ocean, just simply because you've got that Seraphine, you've got a lot of innate sustain between the Renekton and occasionally the Udyr sometimes. Just to keep them alive longer to allow Seraphine to cycle through more of her abilities is real nice. That's a potentially good flank.
We said Satorius needed to be the man to watch. He gets the flank, he gets the ult. Pridestalkr's low though, charm across the team. Is Sebekx surviving here as he backs on out? But Pridestalkr lives this one through, and it is just a pick for MOUZ.
Yeah, it's a nice pick for MOUZ. I think I don't actually know where the gold entirely went. I think everyone was too zoned away, so it could have all only gone onto Cboi here.
So Durking managed to get one auto on the tower, so he shared it as well. He got 160 of that.
Okay, that's at least okay. So I think if we're talking about Summoner's Blown, it looks relatively sided towards MOUZ. There's a Macko that had to retreat. As you get the replay here, just sort of takes his time, but eventually he finds that body slam on Durking. He doesn't pull the trigger immediately with the cast, but once that Onslaught of Shadows comes in, that's when he pulls. Darkrai flown in, Sebekx in as well. Pridestalkr almost drops, and like you say, I think the gold was shared.
Javada, he wasn't doing the ulti to set up his team for a pick. He wanted the kill. This is an AP Gragas, right? In fact, it's not. He's going tag Gragas, but that's the classic AP Gragas, right? Where you drop the ulti and it just one-shots the AD carry. That was giving me old school vibes right there. But Satorius, another great flank. And it feels so poetic that we just talked about how this guy's Gragas in the mid-game makes the plays happen, and then immediately the perfect TP comes out. He's definitely a top laner to watch in the tournament. Oh, good flash out from Gadget.
Do end up, nice flash. If MOUZ do end up making it through 2 knockouts, Satorius certainly does have his moments, whether it's on the 1-5 set or it's finding really strong, consistent casks back-to-back, like what we've seen today in these games. Certainly fun to watch. Macko trying to take a little bit of control on the bottom side. I think, despite the Herald being up, they kind of know they're going to have solo lane priority for now. Either way, if they want to play for Herald, they are likely just going to have it. So, trying to make sure that they have, early setup around the bottom side either way. And pick.
We've had some slow games here today, Javada. We've had a pretty slow start to things, and it feels like that is appropriate for how close this group is. Like, when we're talking about the stakes at the start today, remember that if Macko wins this, their dream is still alive here. It's Enjawve very, very close to getting the death sentence there.
But
like, Macko can still make it, but MOUZ as well. If they lose, the dream is all but dead.
Yeah, and I will actually, sort of counter that point. Whilst I would fully be on the Macko train if they do end up taking that MOUZ here, it's important to add, it's MOUZ. MOUZ are looking like, at least by gameplay at the moment, potentially the 3rd weakest team anyway. And it would be their easiest game, most likely, given how Illumina and Hecarim have been playing today. So it's still an uphill battle, no matter how you look at it from Macko. But it certainly would be fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just to clarify, I'm not saying it'll be easy for Macko. Like that. Let's just make sure that one thing's clear. I'm not saying they're a favorite, and I'm not saying it's an easy path for them. I'm just saying that it's possible. Because right now, Illumina are 2-2. MOUZ are 1-3. If MOUZ were to lose this, then Macko and MOUZ would be essentially tied. Yeah, it'd be
Well,
1 and
not-
4
not-
for
not
MOUZ,
yet,
right?
yeah.
MOUZ will have played one more game, but ultimately, in terms of wins, they'll be
wins,
tied.
yeah.
They're only 1 win behind Illuminar, so if then Matsko beat Illuminar, it doesn't even matter if they lose to UCAN. They could win on a tiebreak.
Yeah, and that would be quite insane to see 2 PG Nuts teams make it through to the knockout stage, I believe.
Would you describe it as PG nuts to see that?
I'm actually allergic to nuts. Funny enough, so I don't know. Yeah, the joke wasn't really there for me. I don't.
I'm sorry. I apologize if that had you a little flare up there. Maybe get some Puritan on the go or something. Has anyone got a
Anyone got an EpiPen? Anyone?
EpiPen? Yeah, I don't know.
But,
Well, Drake's coming up.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, nuts or not, this is an ocean Drake, so you can always wash away the allergies. I don't think that's how that works. But 25 seconds. What are we going to see here, Chibata? Who's set up for it?
Well, it seems like MOUZ for now, they've got the bottom side priority, but it's Matsko that are going to be moving through into the river first through that mid lane priority. And MOUZ, I mean, all things considered, leaders recalling. I don't even feel like they're going to really contest this properly. If anything, it'll be very half-hearted. And MOUZ, all the members are on the bottom side, but I just don't think it's necessarily a fight that you win at this moment in time. With all of the control, you would have to walk through chokes, and that's exactly where Seraphine wants you. It's exactly where Gnar would want you too, so I just feel like MOUZ yield the dragon, but they're not going to trade anything in response. And that's kind of worrying.
It is, let's call it suboptimal. Eh?
Yeah.
Let's call it suboptimal gameplay here from MOUZ. Matsko right now, 3,000 gold lead. They've got 3 Drakes as well. They've only got 1 tier 1 tower so far in the game, but it feels like that has to be their next target really here, with Herald, you'd imagine, coming up fairly soon. I don't actually have a timer there. Or did the second Herald already get taken?
The second Herald was taken, dropped on the top lane.
Okay. I'm just I'm just an idiot. Never mind. Forget I said anything, alright?
Oh,
We're going to
hello.
attempt here from MOUZ, going up towards the top side. StenBosse in trouble, not even close to Gnar here. Satorius moves up, still has the ulti. Fear comes on through, explosive cask finally dropped. StenBosse goes down. And Cboi is like, you know what? We've got reinforcements. Sebekx arrives on the players off. Pridestalkr chained to the floor by the stride breaker and will be cut through by Sebekx.
Yeah, the response is there for Matsko. They get revenge for StenBosse. MOUZ, they look for a pick, but it's still only a 1-for-1. It's not like StenBosse had a shutdown or anything like that. I guess you can call it a win, because leader is down here now on the bottom side, unattended to, and the teleport was blown. Darkrai.
Oh, the flash charm is beautiful, actually. Gadget's exhausted. Lantern comes out. Enjawve pulls him out to safety, but he's stride breaking. Death sentence to pull him back closer to the AD carry. Gadget will go down. Sebekx looking for more as well. He wants to punish the support for trying to get away with such a cheeky escape. Sebekx with a double kill. The mid lane Renekton coming up huge.
Yeah, Darkrai's final cry, the encore to set up that play. I mean, Sebekx is able to get on top of Gadget and Enjawve, and the escape is almost very nice from the MOUZ bottom laners, but unfortunately, Sebekx, he doesn't really care. He goes for it anyway. He runs them down with the Stride Breaker on top of that. Now Leader is the recipient of a gank on the side lane, and I don't know if he's going to survive this one. Has both sums.
Yeah, has cleanse, has the flash. Can he get away with this one? The slow, sorry, is there. Flash comes out. One more boomerang from StenBosse and do the trick. Sebekx is here as well. Leader is doomed underneath the tower. Finally falls for this 1-for-1 so far. Sebekx has gone too deep on this one. Satorius slammed into the wall. I take it back. Sebekx has gone just deep enough, apparently, because Matsko find everything they want.
Oh, rocket! All right, no one's really low enough anyway. I don't know why I got excited. It's just the nature of that fight. That was pretty wacky. I will say, but yeah, leader on the side lane, just a little bit too far forward, and Sebekx perhaps all the way down to find himself some more kills. And
I feel like, look, we're right at the start of the game still.
Yeah.
This Moonstone has got so much value in these last couple of fights.
yeah, it really. Actually, can we get a check in on the healing on the Moonstone? Is that a possibility? I'm unsure.
I have no idea.
I guess
That's a great
we'll
question.
find out in the near future, but certainly, like you say, a lot of value coming out. Darkrai only died the once, and that was honestly pretty well played death, all things considered. He should have just kind of died for naught. Turned it into a positive either way. But for Matsko, using their composition exactly how they need to, right? Gadget, Leader, they're still waiting for those the first 2 core items to come in. Gadget, Leader, they're almost there, It looks like PD, though I think those are also the components. No, those are the components for for Hurricane. I was searching for it. Leader's got to be close to finishing up the Archangels as well.
Yeah, a hurricane, or as we say, a tornado. Typhoon, if you're over in Asia, that's what they refer to them as. Depends where you're at.
Isn't Hurricane... There's a upgrade. No, I'm thinking of Gale Force. Gale Force upgraded is called Typhoon. That's where I was going with that.
Also, brand of tea. Historically, not that good from what I've heard. But I've got to say, I'm not a huge connoisseur of Typhoon. More of a Yorkshire tea guy. I don't know if the accent gave that away. But
definitely, nah, it would never have much.
Like, no. The thing is about Yorkshire tea is it is actually just the best, and a lot of people are like on the fence about it because they're not from Yorkshire, and it feels a bit like a pride thing. But it is actually also just the best tea, like hands down, objectively, it's just better.
Yeah,
like everything from Yorkshire.
I wouldn't go that far. Moving away from Yorkshire tea, I think with MOUZ being practically 4K down, this is going to be a really tough fight for them to try and contest. Now, Gadget does have his Runan's Hurricane finished up, but MOUZ are going to have to actually buy him the space to get some of these ores off. They have to realistically find a nice death sentence or find a nice cast to get some of these resets going. Otherwise, Gadget likely isn't going to be able to have the great amount of impact that he would really like to have. And you can see Macko, they've got the positional advantage. It's going to have to be MOUZ walking through chokes against the likes of a Gnar, against the likes of a Seraphine. They've got to pick an entrance, and either way, it's going to be pretty messy for them to get through.
MOUZ have got to find a way in here. This is the Ocean Soul. This is a potential win condition right here for Macko. They're starting the Drake off the Crystalline Arrow. Not ideal here. In they go. StenBosse slams 2 against the wall, and Sebekx is alongside him. Leader solo already and goes down to the Seraphine. It's 1-for-1 though. And it's the jungler taken down. The Cboi went way too deep onto the backline. Maybe an opportunity here for MOUZ with no smite available on the side of Macko, but Sebekx goes in. This crab is actually taken by MOUZ. I think Pridestalkr smited that one, but he has 2 charges. MOUZ, they should be able to get the Drake here, unless I'm mistaken, Jabata.
It kind of depends on how Macko feel. I feel MOUZ themselves don't necessarily want to flip it right now. Macko in the area, and Pridestalkr, he's got no ult. He can't get out of this. Lantern's there, though.
Bit of damage. Yeah. Lantern comes out here, as you rightly say. Vision given out by Dirking using that Hawk shot. StenBosse is TP'd back. Cboi about to respawn.
Ooh.
Charm across the team, but it doesn't do too much. StenBosse gets into the pit, looking for Pridestalkr, trying to take down the enemy jungler here. It's going to be
he smited.
Smite came out early. Who's going to be able to get the Drake? It does go the way of Gadget. MOUZ stop the Ocean Soul, but they lose 2 for their troubles.
Yeah, they lose 2. I mean, I guess the big thing for MOUZ, right? They've taken the Ocean Soul off the table. If Macko get the Ocean Soul in this kind of scenario, and they're kind of this far ahead in the map state as well, the game state, it just gets so impossible to try and cut down these frontliners until even more items come out. And yeah, now with Pridestalkr dead, they're just going to run a Baron. There's nothing that MOUZ can really do. There's no ultimate from the Jinx, so there's no steal possibility there. It's going to have to be a combination of abilities, a Gragas barrel, plus all of the combo damage from Leader. Unless MOUZ can try and find some chip damage enough to force Macko off of this Baron.
3v5 and the arrow comes in straight onto StenBosse. He doesn't get to play the game. Satorius just gets 1 shot here. Chaos Storm is going out. Cboi fairly low. Zap into the pit as well, but StenBosse whiffs the Gnar a little bit. Bit of a disaster there for Macko, and it means they have to peel off of the Baron.
Yeah, they peel off the Baron for now. Unfortunate almost. He did have flash though, so he could have committed if he wanted to trade out summoners there. Which, I mean, if you're trading summoners against Leader and Gadget, Jinx, and Viktor, you take that. But you can see Sebekx, he chunks Pridestalkr down, and it means he has to smite early to stay alive. And eventually, it just turns into, what is it? It's just an auto attack from Jinx? Yeah, the splash damage from the rockets is what secures it. Thought it could have been a zap or something of the likes, and the remaining members inside of the pit kind of just left to the wayside. I think rightfully so. You don't want to donate over any more kills.
I'm not gonna lie, if you're a MOUZ fan watching that fight, that's what we refer to in the industry as a Monka W moment right there. It's like just about to deny the soul. And they do keep themselves alive in this game, but they are 5,000 gold down right now, and that same moment is going to repeat in 3 minutes time. But importantly, the Baron stopped by MOUZ, so Macko can't just snowball it too hard.
No, and it is genuinely, it is a very big deal here for MOUZ, I think. Having this extra time to allow, again, carries, Gadget, Leader to get some more items in their pocket, realistically, it's Gadget that's going to try and find his armor penetration item here. It's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal if he's allowed to actually have space in these fights. And it's on Matsko to try and pin him down. Now, I don't think he's actually going to have flash available by the time this next dragon comes up, because I think he blew it in the top side when StenBosse hopped over the wall. So there's going to be a small window of abuse there once they're actually in front of the dragon pit. As Enjawve sitting kind of over the wall, hoping that someone will overextend, but I don't think anyone would really follow up on that play anyway. And for now, Matsko, they're just going to push high up and deny as many jungle camps away from MOUZ as possible.
And we've got to be looking at Sebekx, right? 5-0 and 5 on the Renekton. And it feels good as an LPL commentator to see this Renekton mid doing such wonders, because I'm a big fan of the Renekton mid. Here we go. Arrow comes in. Explosive. Cask is a big old win from Satorius. He's taken down. It's easy to tank the tower for Sebekx. He's so huge already on this Renekton. Pressure onto the bot tier 2. Pridestalkr looking for a flank here, but the minion wave is dealt with. As you can see, StenBosse moving in the mid lane as well. The rest of Matsko can move up to join him. StenBosse will consistently look for opportunities to get the Mega Gnar off here. And I think with the wave cleared, Matsko have to back away.
Yeah, but this is all Matsko really have to do. They can find picks where appropriate. Unfortunately, Satorius' cast for himself couldn't save him. Kind of just cast it too far away. Too far underneath his tower. But if Matsko can just keep a high line pressed up on the map. Again, once this dragon spawns up in a little under 90 seconds, it means it's MOUZ that have to walk through all the chokes. It's the danger zones that you don't really want to have to check through. Now, it's going to be an earlier reset for a couple of members of Matsko spending some of their gold, but if you look towards the AD carries, they're actually pretty even. It's really the difference between Sebekx and Udyr. That's the big difference here. Just the fact that Sebekx is so tanky, can be kept alive through some of the shielding from Darkrai as well. At the moment, there's not really a huge amount of burst threat onto Renekton just yet. But if MOUZ can somehow sneak away this next dragon again, whether it's for a steal or otherwise, that's all they need.
Pridestalkr, that's dangerous. Yeah. Like you're saying, 40 seconds on this next Drake. If Pridestalkr gets caught, that might be lights out for MOUZ. Remember, if they can win this game, they can keep their hopes of playoffs alive. But if they go to 4 losses, it becomes a real dicey situation for them, and they're just going to prey on other results. Here we go, arrow in, it's on to Pridestalkr. Sebekx over the wall to follow up with yet another stun, but Pridestalkr is still surviving. They're going on to Satorius instead. Sebekx trading his life here as he flashes away. Fear goes through. It is going to be 1 kill going the way of Matsko. Can they find more? Is Sebekx chasing through? He's just desperate to take down Pridestalkr, but it's not happening. And now MOUZ can punish him. Sebekx caught. Flame Chopper's available from Gadget. Drops him under the feet of the crocodile, but he jumps away, and in comes StenBosse instead. Cboi's alongside him, but the rocket's out from Gadget. He's been shooting this entire fight along. StenBosse gets out, Blast Cone is there. Matsko get a pick, and they somehow survive. Everyone gets away.
Everyone, the front line of Matsko, they're just still too tanky for Gadget to actually burn down. And if he gets one reset, that could be the difference between getting that chain going. But unfortunately, he's just not able to find the lethal ranges, even though Cboi, StenBosse, they're kind of overreaching, overstepping a little bit to save Sebekx. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They've got the healing, they've got the tank stats, and with Pridestalkr being dead, this could be turned into an easy Baron.
The PG national dream is alive and well right here as Matsko move over to the Baron once more. Sebekx, he had bought the Randuins just before that fight, and he got so much value out of it, tanking Gadget up the whole time. The crystalline arrow just goes a little bit wide there as StenBosse looks for the Gnar, gets onto Satorius again, who just goes down, just melted a Cboi, happy to tank. In goes the Renekton, flailing around in the middle of everyone. Sebekx is completely invincible with the Ocean Soul, with a Seraphine. There's no way anyone can die.
Yeah, and if this all went over 5 minutes earlier, this game would have probably been over already. MOUZ, unfortunately, they are kind of running out of time, despite being the team that scales. I think the Ocean Soul with the front line, Leader and Gadget just can't get enough reasonable damage off. And it's always Matsko finding these key members of MOUZ, or just finding the frontliners, which means that the carries of MOUZ can't step forward to deal their damage.
Here we go. 3k on the Baron here. Pridestalkr has his ult available, looking for a steal, looking for a miracle. StenBosse just goes in onto Gadget though and kills the AD carry. Sod the Baron, says Macko. Just kill MOUZ instead. They jump over the wall. They take 2 kills. They get the Baron. They've got the Ocean Soul. The Rift is their oyster.
Do you hear that much? Do you hear it? It's the sound of the PG Nat type trade, potentially. Look, all right, I'm not going to get too hyped too quickly. It is only MOUZ at the moment, and MOUZ, honestly, they've not been looking too great today, last week as well. But it's a confidence. It's a confidence booster right now. They're on the cusp of taking their first win at EU Masters Groups.
At the end of the day, SupUp have made it out of the groups.
Yeah.
And Macko find themselves a win to start off their second week here. I may be speaking a little too soon. Because actually, I don't think they can end the game here.
No, not yet. Not yet. It's not a little bit too soon much, but 2 inhibitors looks like for the good of the Italians. Could just back away here, look for a reset, and just play through that final topside inhibitor. Baron buff has still got a very long time left, and you can see, right? I mean, Macko, they've just got full control of this area. StenBosse is just trying to build rage, and once he does get it fully stacked up, it's that nice route from Seraphine, which means once the bounce in comes through, no summoner spells, CC comes in, Encore even over the top of it as well. I didn't actually catch that in the initial play with Sebekx. It's just too much for Pridestalkr and Gadget to actually survive through. They're kind of just on the side. Not really much for him to do.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. I think there were a lot of fans watching today that were expecting the triumphant return of MOUZ in week 2. And I have to say, it's not been a good start to week 2 here for MOUZ. The fact that they lost to UCAM is like, all right, fair enough. UCAM are looking real strong. They're clearly the first seed of this group, but come in here against the 0-3 team. You said it best right at the start of the day. Nobody wants to lose to the team that is 0-3 on the standings, but right now it is looking like MOUZ are on the cusp of doing exactly that. Macko showing up to be the upset, showing up to be the dark horse in the group. They still have a long way to go, and they still have to finish this game off, remember. So you can see Cboi splitting in the bottom side of the map, getting these super minions into the base, getting pressure elsewhere on the map, so that Macko can try and finish off this last inhib.
Yeah, and of course we did hit on the scaling of MOUZ, right? It's not like it's terrible. You've got Jinx, Viktor. You can't really get carries in these positions that can do much more in their respective roles when it comes to DPS, but when you're 10k down, you're down an Ocean Soul. At the moment, a Baron, the front line, the healing available to Macko, it just feels too overwhelming at the moment.
And the
MOUZ
thing about that as well, there's no healing reduction on Gadget, there's no healing reduction on Leader either, so this Ocean Soul is doing everything it wants to. StenBosse in, Gnar goes wide, but it's not going to matter too much as the inhib tower falls. Super's pushing into the base as well as Cboi makes sure to keep the Baron buff on as many minions as possible. The rest of Macko pushing towards the top. Inhib finding an opportunity. Lantern goes out, but they just drop 1,000 wards onto it. And Satorius falls once more. This might be the moment for the PG Nats. This might be the moment the MCK managed to push their way into the base of MOUZ and find an upset to start their second week. Here in the EU Masters, they made it all the way through play-ins, and they want a little bit more on top of that one as well. In fact, they didn't make it through play-ins. I'm telling a Porky there, but they are going to be able to get onto these Nexus towers. MOUZ grouping up. Last chance saloon for them as they desperately try and fight, but StenBosse won't let them in across the whole team. The charm goes through. Pridestalkr is in the backline stun onto Gadget, who just gets exhausted as Pridestalkr is taken down. And Macko take a well-earned victory lap around the Nexus as they find their first win of the main event.
And honestly, it was just kind of one-sided from maybe 10 to 15 minutes in, Munch. To be honest with you, MOUZ just kind of looked down and out. And I mean, I think they are almost mathematically down and out now at this point. It's going to be pretty tough for them to come back from this position. Of course, Illumina still sitting at 2-2. So if Illumina end up losing their remaining games, of course, one of them against MOUZ, we could see a tiebreak scenario there in that case. But for Macko, man, what an impressive win. And I will say this, all great comebacks start with an upset. And I don't know if you'd call this an upset, but this is certainly a win that most people wouldn't have predicted coming into today.
Yeah, it's been completely nuts to see some of the results today. This is not the way I was expecting Group C to go at all. And I don't want to get too excited for Macko just yet.
No,
Because
not
let's be
yet.
honest, Illuminar are definitely the favorite to make it out of this group. But all I'm saying is the dream is alive right now for the PG Nats. They already had Makers making it out of their group. Now potentially Macko. I mean, we had Sup making it out of their group as well. It feels like this EU Masters is the EU Masters of upsets. All of the underdogs coming up strong and proving that just because you're from one of the larger regions doesn't necessarily mean that you're the favorite.
No, definitely not. Like you're saying, I don't really have to add much more to what you're saying. Sup up, right? Now we have Makers. Could it potentially be Macko today? They've still got an uphill battle between Illuminar and UCAM, who are looking a lot more decisive today. But it's not impossible, and with the scoreboard sitting the way it is, you never know. 3 wins could actually just be enough. Even 2 wins could force a tiebreak scenario. So let's see how things line up with the rest of the day.
It's all still possible. It's very possible that someone makes it out of this group with just 2 wins in the group stage, which is kind of crazy to think about, really. But we'll have to wait and see what happens by the end of today. We're going to go into a break, and that'll be the last cast from myself and the Turbo Smurf himself, Jamada. Thank you very much for joining me, mate, on the cast. And we're going to head over to a break, and then it'll be Goldborg and Hipbrain taking over from us. So until then, we'll see you next time, and we'll see who makes it out of Group C right after this.